How are you already recorded 17 minutes?
I don't know.
It's been going.
We've been waiting.
These chairs are so fucking squeaky.
All right, are we ready to start?
Yeah.
Just instead of
maybe a
clapping.
beer to crack for the intro.
I can.
We're singing haven't you ever in my old Kentucky home. Kentucky.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Kentucky Commons Radio Hour. I'm joined today at Brewgrass Homebrew Supply by John Ronayne, David Satterley,
Hi.
and myself, Michael Moeller. Together, we are the Louisville Ale Trail, talking to you again about beer and news
And tin tackers.
and tin tackers. So, we do a lot of cool things here on the show. We drink cool beers. We talk about those beers. We go to these events. So we do have a Patreon if you want to support the podcast in that way. It's www.patreon.com/Kentucky Commons. Thank you for the folks that are already subscribing.
If you are, you're seeing what just came in today.
Yes, for those that are already subscribing and seeing this in real time, John just pulled out our fresh new tin tackers that say Louisville Ale Trail on them. They are pretty sweet. Dropped them off the breweries over the last week or so. They all
I was excited
really
when we
love them.
ordered those like 4 months ago.
Yeah, it took 8 weeks to do.
It's COVID. It's
Uh,
understandable.
Enough talk about us. If we get 2 more Patreon subscribers, we can get rid
We
of
reach
this.
our goal of squeaky chairs.
Yeah.
I was at Rural King this weekend, and they had some sweet ass little fold up stools.
What is Rural King?
You've never been to Rural King? Oh
I don't
man,
even-
let me tell you a story.
No.
We're
No. Off the rails.
So drove up to Indiana, buying some planters, looking at some baby chicks. But they had some nice little stools for sale. But I was like, well, we still need 2 more subscribers on our Patreon to buy these stools that don't squeak. But anyway, when we get 2 more subscribers, I know where I'm
Yeah,
going.
so, buy us a beer if you like the podcast. Buy us a beer or buy us a chair, whatever. But, if you...
Okay, the whole point was that you can also get a Louisville tin tacker.
Right.
At
yeah,
our
like there's
Trailmaster level.
yeah, there's swag, different levels. You can do all that. But if you can at this time, that's fine. I understand. Give us a rating.
Yeah,
Preferably
a
5-star
review.
rating and review. And you can just listen to us anywhere and give us a rating. So David, what are we drinking right now?
Right now? Are we going to open it?
Let's open it.
Oh, Lordy.
We've got a special beer this week.
We do have a special
all the
beer.
way from the great city of Bardstown, Kentucky.
The great city of Bardstown.
Are there
Bourbon.
any breweries in Bardstown?
There's actually just one. This is the one we're drinking. If you've never heard of it, Scout and Scholar opened their doors a little over a year ago. They've got a really nice brewery, tap room, and restaurant there. And they're doing some really, really fun stuff. Headed up by the head brewer, Lee Northcutt. He's a Florida guy.
Florida man.
Florida man.
But not that kind of Florida man. And he's actually been funneling us beers to this show. He's kind of sponsored some of our Thursday meetings,
Unknowingly.
via beer. Yeah. But this, and one thing I do like about Lee's beers, he kind of doesn't stick in a realm that some of the other brewers do. He's got a little leeway.
Yeah, leeway.
No, you guys. You guys. So this is an Imperial Rye Saison called Reckoned Resilience? No. What is RISIL? I'm sure there's a better name for that than what is written here.
I don't remember what it was.
I don't either. It's 8%. It's big old rye Saison. Dry, spicy.
It smells spicy.
What's the ABV? I guess that was rye imperial saison, but I'm not sure if that's true or not.
It is a rye
It
imperial
is.
saison.
It's 8%.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very nice. So the aromas, we'll do tasting notes are probably boring on audio, so we'll be quick and efficient here. But
Yeah, I'm already bored. I like this beer, though.
I get a nice little kind of peppery, strawy kind of aroma off of it, and then the flavor is just really light, balanced between kind of that. It's not sweetness, but it's like that caraway bread kind of thing you get from rye malt.
Yeah.
And then it just finishes super clean, light
really-
phenol.
It's very light.
hint of saison ester, but it's super drinkable.
It's super deceiving for 8%.
So go down and check out Scout and Scholar. It's a great, especially when spring weather starts to get here. Go take a hike at Bernheim and then go have dinner in Bardstown. That's a freaking nice Saturday if you're a Louisvillian.
Great culinary program there. believe they got somebody from, I don't know if I can say it, but somebody from here that was previously in Louisville. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great beers all around. I really like how they do their flights. I mean, it's a good spot and good people. Thanks for the beer, Lee. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
But the other beer that we got to try recently for the first time last night was the hometown Cumberland Red Ale
If you guys listened to our
release.
last episode, we were hyping the return of Cumberland Brewery's Red Ale.
So it wasn't the first time you got to try it.
It
Well,
wasn't.
David Satterley
It
famously.
was the first time I got to
David
Yes.
Satterley,
So yeah, we so
infamously.
David and I were there last night. What'd you think about the release and the beer itself?
I mean, fuck a red ale. Nobody wants that. Everyone there was like, I've been waiting for a red ale forever. It's like, nobody says this.
It's beer. It's like drinking beer. It's beer for like a man that wants to just drink some beer,
A man.
or any gendered or non-gendered individual. I speak from the male perspective, and as a man that loves to just drink a red ale, as a red ale drinking man.
Honestly, I texted Michael and I said, this is bullshit. Red ales suck. I'm going to have 2 and I'm going to go home. And then I had like 7.
Yeah,
So
that's the trick of the red ale.
it must not have been that bad. All jokes aside, the history, the homage to Cumberland Brewing and formerly Matt Gould.
Yeah, Roger Baylor, and he wrote a really cool little
Mhm.
piece on just the history of Cumberland and Matt and like all that stuff today. I think it was released.
Super neat. They brought in, Mark from Cumberland and JD who brewed there, and then several other patrons from Cumberland. I guess back in the day, from like early 2000s.
Yeah, they had a promotion that if you brought in some Cumberland merch, a growler, glass, had a shirt on, they did a deal on the beer for you, and the deal was already good enough with $2.
$2.
Yeah.
All so in the words of Blake Cotton, the brewer over at Wild Hops, all hail red ale.
Fuck yeah.
And a $2 red ale is a very good red
That's a great
Great
red ale.
ale. Yeah.
It's almost as good as a 56-cent Hootie Delight, as we saw from the Great Flood Bengals.
Somebody told me
Super
that
Bowl
Hootie
special.
is sold out like all over the region
I'm
after
sure
the Super Bowl.
after that.
I couldn't imagine.
The other thing on just one final note on that Cumberland thing, we talked about it a bit last week, but it's really cool that we live in a city and community at this point where we have enough history kind of behind us and that genealogy kind of thing, like you've talked about in the past, where breweries are like inheriting other recipes and equipment, and brewers are going around, and it's really starting to feel like an ecosystem rather than just kind of pop-ups and like new startup businesses and hype stuff. It's really starting to feel good.
I've really had some anxiety over the last week because on the show last week, I said that Cumberland was established in 2011 accidentally.
Yeah, right.
And I knew it wasn't 2011. I think I was trying to say 2001.
Just one extra
But
one.
I messed
there.
up. So I messed up on both accounts anyway. So that's been making me lose sleep at night.
People have been texting me about that all week. What the
I mean-
fuck, Bowler?
Yeah, I can't imagine what would be worse than calling Charleston.
Yeah, Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
So
So
it's good to be me.
it was a great weekend of events last week between Holzapfel's 5th anniversary that we were talking about. That was fun. The Red Ale last night. But we got some cool events coming up in the next coming week or so. Let's go ahead and give a plug to our typical Trail Tuesday event.
Yep.
Every first Tuesday of the month.
Those have been picking up a lot of steam.
Every first Tuesday of the month, the Louisville Ale Trail likes to go to a new tap room to promote the tap room, kind of promote what they do, the beers. Then also just give people an excuse to get together that might not be a special big release or birthday or whatever. Just, hey guys, let's all meet up at this time and place. We really want to make it a goal to get some beer drinking regulars involved.
In other
Beer-
words, like if you can hear our voice,
you should
this
come.
is for you.
Yeah, like if you can't come to Chimera
Yeah.
on March 1st at 5:30 to 7:30, that's fine. We
do them
first
every
Tuesday
month.
of the month.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
So if you're listening to this on Monday, tomorrow,
Yeah.
you need to
Come
go
have a
to
beer with us.
Chimera and have a beer with us. I'm not going to pay for it. And I'm not going to do anything else
No.
nice.
Chimera's also right by my house, so I might get lit because I
Yeah.
can walk home
But I want to sit next to you. I want to have a conversation
in a squeaky chair.
in
But-
a non-squeaky chair.
but I will say this: that Louisville, for whatever reason, our beer reps are great and our spirit reps are great, but they don't really interact with each other. And I
Entirely
want to
true.
give them a platform and an excuse to get to know each other.
Yeah.
We have plenty of good people in the community that we should be able to do that. So yeah, and then otherwise, I think Fall City is doing an 80s week.
Mhm.
David, want to talk about that? Any insight?
I wasn't even born in the 80s, but it sounds like fun.
Will they have red ales?
I have asked, no word back on the red ale sitch. But they will have silent disco, which is a fun time to do Molly and take your shirt off.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
No. Silent disco, they've got all kinds of trivia themed throughout the week. It'll be a whole week of fun. Some cool beers coming out too that I can't especially talk about yet. And also a performance by Vinyl Richie.
Vinyl
Very
Richie.
cool.
Vinyl Richie.
Well, and then also speaking of silent disco, John, what's coming up on March 5th?
I think a silent disco event at Tailspin Ale Festival to bury the lead there. But yeah, we've been just getting more and more excited about Tailspin. It happens every year. It's even more exciting on the tail end of a worldwide pandemic type thing. It's going to be really, really nice to be able to get back out there and have a beer with everybody and just be like...
That was worse than Leeway.
Yeah, really? Well, we
Michael, quick,
podcast goals.
Yeah, so I...
But no, Tailspin Ale Festival, March 5th. We'll be dropping our interview with Tish and Trevor this week. So I think we'll release the audio here too. But the audio is way less fun than watching Tish and Trevor do an interview live on TV. So
it was a well-produced video. Thank you, John, for doing that.
Those are super fun.
You know, we do certain media projects for people that want them. So, you know, if you're in
Did
the
you guys
beer
know
biz,
they actually like run a business?
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense.
like, if you have something that you want to plug, you just let us know, and maybe we'll produce a video. Or
oh yeah, that's a good show.
whatever.
Totally.
So, yeah, thank you to Tish and Trevor for putting these on for so many years, since 2014. It's been the premier beer festival in Kentucky.
Truly a labor of love on their part, and it's great that it's gotten so successful. But it still feels like you can still feel like the hands-on touch that they have with every single beer, and it just feels very curated.
They pick them, yeah,
yeah,
one by one.
Yep.
Yeah,
you know,
And the bourbon barrel tent is great. The lager lounge is great.
Sour bar.
Hey, as far as beer festivals go, the shipping container urinal is great. Like it just shortens the restroom lines for everybody. It's you can just go in there and pee. That's one of my favorite things about Tailspin.
Yeah.
It's one of the most unique things I've seen at a beer festival.
Yeah.
So I think you've not been to many beer festivals.
No.
I'm old, man. They didn't have shipping container urinals back in my day.
Back in my day, we had to go in them blue porterhouses.
Exactly. Yeah.
VIP tickets are already sold out, and there are a limited number of general admission tickets left. But you know, they still have some pop-up ticket giveaway events going on between now and March 5th. Check Tailspin Ale Fest out on social media for those for that information. Seriously, I think there's still a good chance to win some tickets.
Yeah.
I think also, and I'm gonna jinx it, but given the trend in the weather this year, this might
don't even say Don't even say
it. It might not be raining and 20 degrees.
And it might not be snowing.
Sorry, listeners.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Sorry, listeners.
That was loud.
Yeah.
All right, John, what's in the beer news?
I cannot go a week without bringing this back into your all's feed. We've talked about it. It's been something I was trying to think of a good, clever branding thing, but I can't. Mountain Dew has finally released their hard seltzer. It's been a long time coming. We don't have any of it yet. We do have some mountain water from Highwire. There's our
thank you, Highwire.
Our weekly Highwire shout out, David, just to make sure.
What's not David's responsibility?
Well, you're always the one that shouts them out, or at least shouts out that we're shouting them out.
I think you shout out that I'm shouting them out.
Have we ever actually talked about mountain water? Not to derail the news, but have we talked about this?
It's delicious. It's a really good day drinking. I don't even know if I would call it a beer. I would just call it like a malt beverage.
Well, they say it's beer for your seltzer friends.
That sounds perfect. Yeah.
Is it better than OE?
OE.
There's only one way to find out. Let's bring Drew Johnson back.
Drew. So Mountain Dew is. I didn't know this has partnered. They're doing it through Boston Beer Company. So it's a collaboration essentially between Sam Adams and PepsiCo or whatever. You guys want to know what flavors they're going to be releasing?
Please.
All I know is that it needs to be called Dew Shine.
Yeah. Well, so let me read you their marketing statement too, because it actually what do we always say? Time is a flat circle. Flavors: black cherry.
Don't we always say that?
I've got all the callbacks this week. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. Black cherry, watermelon, original, and the hit flavor Baja Blast.
No, that's all I want.
Yeah,
right. That's all I'm saying. It's going to be released in 12-ounce cans as well as 24-ounce tall boys. Get excited for that. 0 sugar, 100 calories each. Right now, it's only in Florida, Iowa, and Tennessee. If we have any listeners in Tennessee who are driving up to Louisville, bring us some of that Baja Blast to drink on the podcast.
This sounds like it's more along the lines of like a Mountain Dew seltzer.
That's what people were saying. Yeah. Is it going to be a soda?
Honestly,
No.
the most appealing part is that it has no sugar.
Yeah.
Well, but they have Diet
I want
Mountain
that.
Dew. That tastes just like regular. No, that's Dr. Pepper. Whatever the heck.
Well, they do
say.
have Diet Mountain Dew does exist.
Yeah, it does.
Unfortunately.
I still think they put like aspartame and all that.
Oh, that's got to be like chock full of that stuff. Anyway, I had a little branding message to read you guys, but my terrible printer apparently didn't print it out. Oh, no, here we go. This is great radio. Okay, the whole thing behind this was originally...
It's literally right in front of you, and you're like, no.
Well, it didn't,
no.
it didn't print the part that I
No,
wanted.
the best part was when he said yes first and then said no.
Originally, Mountain Dew was made to, like, cut your corn liquor. That good old Mountain Dew, which is what they call moonshine, like up in the boony hills of Appalachia.
I don't believe you.
It was made as a mixer to cut, spirits and stuff and make little kind of quick cocktails on the go, or disguise the fact that you're drinking alcohol in the middle of the day, or just basically to make your dew shine taste like something palatable. It was a mixer. So they're saying it's going back to that spirit of like a fun, drinkable American alcoholic beverage to be consumed responsibly by adults who want a 0-calorie, 100 carb children's
zero
beverage,
calorie.
whatever. Yeah.
God, you're doing so much free marketing for Mountain Dew right
I know.
now.
I just think that this whole thing is strange and hilarious, and I'm fascinated by it.
I mean, it is weird how the industry is trending that way. I mean, I am, I love the current hard Topo Chico. Like that stuff is delicious.
It's good. Courtney even likes it. She
Like
doesn't even drink.
in a big 24-ounce can of that for $2.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
This could be better. It has potential.
Baja Blast.
So-
To speak on the marketing, since John can't read, I want to explain how good this marketing is. The Boston Beer Company and PepsiCo share a passion for pushing boundaries. Boundaries.
Same thing.
And delivering
Yeah.
innovative new beverages that meet the evolving demands of U.S. drinkers, said Lesaya Lesage, CMO of the Boston Beer Company.
a good
Sorry.
Good guy.
That's
Friend of the podcast.
friend of the pod. Hard MTN Dew delivers on the bold citrus flavors of the soft drink fans know and love. Now with an added bite of 5%, as if the sugar wasn't enough. Part of the business arrangement, Boston Beer Company will develop and produce new Hard MTN Dew and Blue Cloud Distribution Inc. What? This is not marketing material.
Yeah.
So what I do want to know though, what's that distribution like? Is that something that's stated in there?
They say it's going to
Can I get it
continue
here?
expanding, but right now
It's coming through PepsiCo, so you'll be able to get it.
only Florida, Iowa, and Tennessee, but more markets are being added.
I'll drive to Tennessee for
Right.
that.
That's what I'm saying. If anybody's listening,
You guys,
mule it up to us.
you're kind of ruining the whole we're homers
We've talked
aspect.
enough. We've talked enough about Mountain Dew. Let's kill the story right now and move on. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm not excited. I'm just. What do you call that feeling where you
I want
like?
to try it.
Yeah, it's like
Christmas Eve
yeah,
when you go to bed and you're
Yeah.
anticipating Santa.
yeah. You
Okay,
just
look, I want
find out.
I want a red ale more than I want MTN Dew hard soda. Okay,
Why are you calling it MTN?
That's what they
it's
call it. That's
But
what
it's
they
mountain.
call it.
That's an abbreviation for
No,
mountain.
this Highwire can says mountain water.
This podcast is already off the rails. We're only on the first segment. I will thank Lee's incredibly good saison.
Who is from Florida who should get us?
Hey, Lee. All right.
The saison is, like I said, 8%, and you taste none of it.
No,
so-
it's fantastic. I really
Well
do
done.
enjoy that. More beer news that we saw. This is also kind of relevant to all of us, particularly Michael, who started this podcast as Building Breweries podcast. Anyway, the BA, the Brewers Association, has elected their new board. Some exciting additions to the board this year include 2 friends of the show, 2 people that you've interviewed in the past. One of them, I think, actually, Marcus was elected back in 2020.
2020,
2021.
to a committee, I believe, maybe.
Yeah, so you guys probably are all familiar with Marcus Baskerville, the brewer, and I think owner or co-owner of Weathered Souls Brewing.
That was the Black is Beautiful
Yeah,
initiative?
exactly.
Okay.
Yep, which is just freaking
blown up now.
Yeah, it's
still
a
going.
fantastic
Yeah.
initiative.
Yeah.
It's a great beer, honestly. We have one in the fridge. One of the local ones collabed here.
Monarch in Fall City.
Yeah.
Episode 53, if you guys are listening and want to go back and hear Michael's interview with Marcus, it's a
Do you
very,
think it's
very
still
good one.
The podcast.
The podcast?
No.
The beer? Yeah, absolutely. That will
we
age.
can try it.
Can I make a maybe joke about race? Like Black Don't Crack?
No.
That beer's not going to get worse with age. That's only going to get better. It's true. And then we also had Garrett Marrero, which is the CEO, co-founder of Maui Brewing Company, who is
in Kansas, right?
yeah, I think so.
Kansas.
Yeah, that sounds right. He's the not only elected to the board, but he's also the new board chair. And episode 6, actually, Michael sat down.
You got the scoop early.
Yeah,
I believe that was on
420,
420 of 16.
2016, another lifetime.
Yeah.
We listened to a little bit of that,
Oh,
just kind of
Wait, hold on. Why is that relevant?
because they've been on this podcast.
So okay,
and now they're on the
so
Brewers
hold on.
Association board.
Let me just say that I don't know if I can call them friends of the show.
If you've been on the podcast, you're a friend of the show.
Fair,
Yeah.
A friend of Michael Moore.
I think I just called this
You
like
know-
the marketing guy at Mountain Dew a friend of the show.
Listen,
So the guidelines are loose.
I would listen. So we have when I transfer the audience from Building Breweries onto this podcast. Thank you for the folks that have stuck around.
Indeed.
I will just say though that if you are new and you decide to go back to 2016, I'm sorry. Like,
Hey, I thought that was a great interview that you did.
but between audio issues that I was having, me being even more awkward than now, which
Michael,
is
you're being
incredible.
too hard on yourself.
Thank you.
It was excellent. It was an
And then
excellent
also me
interview.
just not even knowing what beer was, like, because just for background, personal plug, I started a podcast in 2016.
They sell those.
All right,
No,
I give up. I'm not even doing this anymore. I quit.
Go back and listen. They were both great episodes. My whole point in bringing this up was to read Garrett's statement that he made kind of as he took or accepted the role.
Oh, what does the friend of the show have to say about this?
So his quote was, despite an ongoing pandemic and being impacted by a crushed supply chain, severe weather, labor shortages, manufacturing delays, and more, craft brewers have taken the challenge head on. We live in interesting times. They put an ad over this part, so
We're fun. Okay, next on the Patreon funding: squeaky chairs, John's therapy, and then glasses.
and you probably do need new glasses.
And a better printer, probably.
We live in interesting times, said Marrero. Change can be scary, but creates vast opportunities, and it is my honor to serve alongside my colleagues and the BA staff to help the craft brewing community do what it does best: navigate, innovate, and flourish. And I don't know, I thought that was a pretty good assessment of probably where all small businesses are at this point. And makes me excited, honestly, for the new board members that are coming in. There's like a lot of female representation on the board. Marcus obviously is great, like a great representative of all sorts of underrepresented minorities in craft beer, and is actually like hugely effective. And as he says, figuring out what to do about changing the situation. And then it sounds like with Garrett at the helm, like everything hopefully will be syncing up, moving in the right direction. So it'll be exciting to see what actions are taken and where we are in 4 more years.
I really like that tagline: innovate, navigate, flourish. Like, you always think of like groups forming. It's like forming, storming, norming, performing. That's way better. I like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
I like
good.
it. I like it way better.
I liked yours too, though.
I did too. Yeah, that was almost
That was
poetic.
clever.
You've never heard of that?
Mm-mm.
No,
Oh.
norming, like being normal.
Well, you form, and then you've got like.
Then you
establish your
then you
norms.
normalize it.
Well, no. First you form.
Wait a second. Is this your dating strategy?
No,
It's the David system.
it's not. It doesn't even start with a D. Forming.
It does.
You form, you come together and you say, like, guys, I want to make a podcast. And then you storm and you argue insufferably, preferably not on the podcast. And then you norm into what your little like lane is.
Mhm.
And then you perform.
Yeah.
And then you flourish.
And then you
Yeah.
flourish.
Thanks, Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
So anyway, really cool to see some new people moving in. Cheers to the BA. They do a lot of good work.
They do
and
the most
they
work.
get a lot of credit, but probably not quite enough credit. They're very important to our industry.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what these these new folks can really do with the BA and how they want to kind of take the direction of the messaging for all the brewing folks here in the US.
Yeah.
Also, just real fast on the Black is Beautiful, it is still going on. I think I just read today that they're working with Duclaw/Walmart to distribute Black is Beautiful cans into over 600 Walmart stores in 21 states.
That's awesome.
That's
so
cool.
Black is
Yeah.
Beautiful is still around.
What's the ABV on Black is Beautiful?
It's variable.
It's usually
Yeah.
imperial though, right?
It's a
No.
it's a stout. I mean, but it does. I mean, that means
So
nothing.
okay, so this
Yeah.
one is 9.5%, but I've seen them for a lot lighter
Okay.
than that.
Yeah, 6%.
I was just gonna say I love the idea of a huge imperial stout being on the shelves of Walmart, which they probably have a better like craft beer
probably like OE.
shelf than they did when I was there back in the day or whatever buying craft beer. I don't know when the last time I bought beer at a Walmart was.
I like that
Probably on a
the
camping trip.
I like that kind of the brewing industry as a whole. I don't know if like these two things are tied together, but like you recognize someone that did a really great concept and showed like a lot of light on something that was just not featured or highlighted,
Yeah.
and then this person ultimately becomes in charge or as a voice,
Yeah.
a louder voice, and they already had a great voice. So it's cool to like see that
Well,
representation.
you're talking about Marcus, I'm assuming,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
He
yeah.
hit the nail on the head. Like the Black is Beautiful thing was like the perfect beer at the perfect time to raise awareness around a real issue in a way that everybody agreed with.
Sure.
Well,
Like-
and also have actual funds go towards local
exactly.
organizations
Yeah.
that needed them.
Yep.
Right.
That
It's
still
always
need
like-
them.
Yeah, because you always say like, "Oh, well, that's a good idea," but like, what are you going to do about it?
Precisely.
This motherfucker did it. Like, you
And
know?
as people who like take ideas and be like, what are we going to do with this crazy idea? Like, mad respect to somebody who can take ideas and like, bam, like actualize them into a really effective product.
Can I put out a challenge?
Yeah, sure.
There's a similar type of beer called Brave Noise
Oh yeah,
that I don't think I've seen any Kentucky breweries take on yet for women in the beer industry. That has to, something to talk about.
Do you know the story behind that one, or should we save that for a future?
We'll save that
podcast?
let's
Yeah.
save that for a next one. I think I have somebody in mind that can talk about that one.
Word. Yeah,
So
I need to look into that
little hint.
personally. That's new on my radar.
Yep.
You guys want my last piece of beer news?
Yeah, let's end it with something really lighthearted, not that crazy geopolitical.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Joe Biden administration, you guys have probably heard of him, with Executive Order number 14036, subheading
Ugh,
promoting
executive orders.
competition in the American economy. What would you say? I suppose called for or produced this report. Competition in the market for beer, wine, and spirits. It's such a complicated document that there's no way we're going to be able at this point
You don't
to
have,
give you guys the
a
full story.
dissertation on this yet?
I downloaded the whole thing and I read through it and I took notes. And I do have some bullet points we can go over. I guess my disclaimer here is there is no way this is comprehensive. So these are just some of the things that jumped out.
I'm not familiar with it, so
Okay.
please,
Yeah, sure.
give me the highlights.
All right. So the goal of this thing, as stated in the executive order, the goal of the executive order is to reduce the trend of corporate consolidation. That'll be a key word. Increase competition, kind of goes hand in hand, and deliver concrete benefits to the American consumers, workers, and small businesses. Those benefits include more choice, better service, lower prices for consumers through a competitive market, as well as fairer opportunities for small businesses and entrepreneurs to compete.
this does kind of come on the back of one of the recent episodes about prices being increased. So there's some action being taken to offset that, perhaps.
Well, so the main thrust of this entire and again, it's an executive order. Like there's actually no laws being passed. Nothing's changed yet, but this is more or less kind of a directive from the president to encourage or incentivize or kind of just like clear the way. Politics is complicated. I don't know if you guys knew this. pointing at problems basically that he sees in the industry. And so most of it is kind of centered around the idea of breaking up. That's probably not even the right way to put it, but leveling the playing field, I guess, is probably the right way to put that.
But now you're speaking like antitrust language.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Okay.
But it's not like antitrust in that it's a natural monopoly. It's that prohibition kind of created these unnatural monopolies in the American economy. One of the points that they make here at some point is that there's
So
two
100
breweries.
years ago.
Yeah.
That
Still
created.
impacting us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, if you kill every brewery, the only survival of the fittest, and if nobody can make any revenue, even though we've talked to people like Drew, told us the Fall City story about how they adapted and whatnot, but the people with the most money in the bank, or the most runway, or the most political corrupt connections, or whatever, those people are going to be the ones who survive, and then have an incredible competitive advantage when the 21st Amendment was passed and people could actually make beer again. And
Like
stuff that.
Yingling, when they had the beer delivered to the White House on the day that it was repealed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Hey, at some point we should do a whole episode on the Cantillon effect, but that is not today.
I don't know
I'll
what
tell you
that
about it
is.
later. I'll tell you next week. Next week.
Quintillion?
Next week. So anyway, here's the issues that they really highlight as things that we need to be looking out for. Unlawful trade practices in the beer, wine, and spirits market, such as certain exclusionary, discriminatory, and anti-competitive distribution. So,
Well, if Kentucky is a marker for that.
yeah, they said different states do it different ways, but they're kind of trying to look at kind of leveling the playing field in terms of how this 3-tiered distribution model works in a lot of states. The other thing they pointed out was consolidation in production. So all these mergers and acquisitions that are going on. And I don't know if that necessarily is probably targeted towards who was the people that merged recently that were the big ones? Sam Adams and
No, New Belgium and
that was the most recent
Bell's,
Bell's.
yeah.
And then there was also Sam Adams and Dogfish Head.
Yeah.
Right, that merged. I don't think that's what they're pointing out. I think they're talking about these gigantic companies that are buying up all sorts of crazy shit to produce. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fair
You
enough.
could also talk, maybe even in a way, Monster
Spirits
and
and-
craft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, this is
PepsiCo.
beer, this is wine, this is spirits, this is everything. But I think that's a very fair point that we'll kind of circle back to later, which is why is there this huge distinction between beer and wine and spirits and the way that things are taxed, regulated, all the hoops you have to jump through, blah, 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 blah.
And why, when you have a job, your health insurance doesn't cover your teeth
Or your vision,
Or your vision.
or
Yeah.
your eyes?
or your
It's all
mental
part of-
health,
Yeah.
often.
True.
Those aren't part of you.
Trade practice regulations, blah, blah, blah. We kind of just touched on that. They highlight the major federal institutions that are involved in this. I'm not going to read you guys a laundry list. They also say that the federal excise tax on alcohol needs to be looked at. That was very interesting to me. So here's the guts, I guess. The two major industry trends that they have highlighted that have developed over the past several decades. First is the significant growth in small and craft producers of beer, wine, and spirits.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And an unlevel playing field. So it seems to me maybe what we're kind of, if we read between the lines, why is all this attention getting paid to the alcohol industry? It's because there has been the development of new small businesses in a playing field that is already on level.
9,000 breweries.
Why? Yeah, why is this happening? So if we can figure out what legislative blocks are there that people are overcoming, this might make a great model to apply to other small business, sectors, retail, or basically you name it.
And if government can't do anything for you, maybe there's a local ale trail of sorts that can lend a hand for your small business.
Well, it's almost like it's not a union per se, but it's like that way to have collective voice and collective advocacy and collective marketing really does help kind of push back against the big guys. It's harder when there's laws in the way that they're free to violate because they have the lawyers and the money to just push them over, but it's harder for the little guys. And then the other kind of trend that they cite out, we talked about a little bit, is that consolidation in distribution and retail level sales for beer, wine, and spirits, and in production. They say that was back to that main point, in that the market since 2008. Two companies account for an estimated 65% of all beer sold as measured by revenue, which is crazy.
You want to take a guess at who those are?
It's got to be like AB and Miller Coors,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Is that Molson too?
It's Molson Coors.
Molson Coors.
Yeah, I can never remember how that was split up.
Blue Mountains.
So anyway, not to bore everybody forever, but here was like the conversation point I thought maybe we could just talk about. They say the innovation in American wine, beer, and spirits in the last few decades has resulted in a flourishing of small and craft beer producers in local markets that is unusual in a contemporary U.S. economy, where many markets are dominated by a few national brands.
Yeah. Even their craft producers, though, infighting against themselves. I agree with all of this, but I'm just saying that's not kumbaya on every level.
Well, so my point there is like, we talk about this sometimes internally in Louisville Ale Trail stuff. Do we all have scarcity mentality? And is there like a reason that it's hard to grow as a small independent craft? But despite that, it's happening. And it's not every day that the president of the United States would like order a study into why one industry is flourishing and then try to figure out how it can help it flourish. Like something about craft beer caught the attention of somebody who's interested in the U.S. economy.
Yeah.
Legislature.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Why do you guys think is beer different than other industries in helping small businesses come up?
So with distilleries, I know that you're looking at two things. Either one, you have to have an investment and rickhouses of your own equipment, and it take time, long time, or you're either that or you're buying a brand from MGP. So then all of a sudden, really, you're selling bottles and not buying up real estate.
Yeah.
Whereas, and I'm not knocking against people that do that. Like there are people that know how to work with MGP juice and do it really well. I would say that with beer, they are, this is the fine line between gentrification and not.
Yeah, that's a conversation.
But, they're going into a neighborhood where there is, cheaper property, buying it up and turning it into something that can produce a product within a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then getting people to come to that neighborhood to try it immediately. So they don't even have to worry about going into business with the big grocery stores or liquor stores.
Yeah, breweries are a lot different than distilleries and wineries in that respect, that it is much more. What I always tell people from a homebrew perspective is like, well, obviously we don't do anything with distillation around here. But spirits and wine and stuff, it's not quite as instant gratification. Beer is a little bit quicker turnover. It's a little bit better when it's served fresh in a lot of cases. Not in the case of this delicious Scout and Collar, like barrel-aged Saison.
I love Scout and Collar. It is my favorite brewery in Kentucky.
But the business model is entirely different for a brewery rather than like a spirits company or a winery. Is that right?
I would say so.
I want the government in my beer, okay?
The other thing that they point out too is that there's different, it's strange that there's different tax rates between the beer and wine and spirits.
That is
sectors.
A big sticking point to a lot of people on both sides.
Yeah, on both sides. There's inhibitions in marketing, which is kind of weird that we don't allow certain things to be advertised on Facebook or
for example,
during kids' hours of like,
yeah. For example, if you don't produce a beer at a business, you can't paint a sign on the wall that says this beer.
As Drew was saying a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
From Fall City.
Exactly.
But if you have a distillery, you can paint it on the wall of literally anything.
Well, whatever the hell you want, because you own the governor, baby.
There's something to be said about money and being able to afford a speeding ticket.
Yeah, exactly, precisely,
and a Lamborghini.
They also point out that the rates are different between domestic and foreign producers, which is like strange. We should just be on the ball with that. Like we should be ahead of that so that it's more advantageous to buy stuff produced in America. And that there's also difference in the taxation and regulation between large and small producers. So depending on how many barrels, quote unquote, in the beer industry or however they measure that in the other industries, there's different taxation rates, depending on kind of your size, which tends to be, harmful to newer people who aren't making as much because they don't have that investment capital and that history.
Nobody
ability
wants to
sell.
be taxed on their size.
So that's all I have to say, except for this. Yeah, well, especially not us, right? The final point that they made here, which is just interesting, is that the direct sales to consumer model, which would essentially mean like a brewery would be allowed to like ship their beer to a person or something like that, which is common in wine, has been spreading to the beer and spirits industries. However, some argue that direct shipments risk making alcohol available to underage drinkers. And the FTC, which is, I believe, the Federal Trade Commission study of direct wine shipments found no evidence of such abuse in the wine industry. But there is a lack of evidence.
I mean,
specifically
I never
spirits.
shipped. I would have never tried to ship beer to my house. I would have gone to the corner store and paid some guy $20 to go get
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, DHL.
Like
Six
I'm
pack.
not trying to buy Treehouse when I'm 19.
Right.
Like that's not.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to buy OE.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
well,
and some of it's also mountain water now.
preaching to the choir.
Um,
So anyway, that was probably very boring for
Can you-
you
can you-
guys, let alone our listeners. But
Hold on,
it's-
can you imagine standing outside of a gas station and being like, sir, look, can you go in and give me some mountain water? Like, bro, this
Or can
is-
you go in and buy me some beer, and then he comes back with a pick of like Coors?
no.
And you're like, go back in there. You get me some
but the-
fucking high.
But the guy actually says, well, actually, man, I'm not sure if you know this. We're actually in Nevada right now, and Highwire does not distribute here yet.
Yeah, that's right.
If you really want mountain water, you got to go that way a few states over.
Or contact your distribution company and write them a letter and tell them that you
Or
want to see.
have you ever heard about direct vanilla? Okay, here, get on this email subscription list. You can get your beer mailed to you there.
No, I just spent my last $6 on the Uber over here. I need this mountain water.
Well, sir,
Yeah.
have you tried OE?
OE, that's only 2 letters. Nobody drinks that.
Old
It's
English.
going to be so much harder for the kids to do the fake IDs in the days of real ID shit.
Not a
Well, not if you can get the shipping of alcohol done, so that way they can just get it shipped to them for free.
Yeah,
you
fair
hear
enough.
that, government? We got a plan.
Sponsored by Brewgrass Homebrew Supply. That's what we did when we
Is
were
it
not
is it
21.
illegal to sell homebrew supplies?
Nope.
No, it's not alcohol,
Is it
but
illegal?
it's
I
illegal
bought-
to make alcohol for the purpose of consumption if you're underage.
I bought my first homebrew kit when I was underage.
Me too.
You guys are
Well, this has been a great episode.
Also, you know,
Troublemakers.
also, you know what? My very first homebrew ever made was a red ale,
Hey, mine was an alt beer, which isn't that far off.
and I
You guys
even
both
did
had-
it up with the logo and everything. Now,
Michael shared his picture of that with us. Oh shit, son!
yeah, so I have a special treat. It's not a red ale.
You need a blade.
It's not a red ale, but David, I do want you to open this because we're talking about shipping beer, and occasionally the show gets some samples. So I would just say, between Scout and Scholar and Highwire and this special beer that David's about to open, if you want a beer featured, feel free to send it to us, and we'll drink it on the air.
Is that what the guy with the backpack who had hiked here from 3,000 miles away to drop this off earlier was had?
No, but our friends at this place. Oh yeah, there's the bubble wrap. Our friends at this brewery wanted us to try this beer.
Oh, hell yeah.
berries. Is this a fucking leprechaun joke? Berries and cream.
Berries and cream from Shinerbach.
How strong do
I
you think I
love
am?
Shiner Brewery. Are they glasses clean?
No, it's that's their. I don't. Oh, it's actually a scruff. That's fine.
I tell everyone that's a twist off. All right.
Did I send you guys that podcast with the marketing dude from Shiner?
No.
I
So
loved him.
if you're not familiar, the Berries and Cream from Shinerbach is a callback to the Berries and Cream Starburst commercial, and that later became popular on TikTok as a callback in meme culture. And Shiner was like, "Hey, you know what we need to do is get on the meme culture with the youths."
The only reference I understood there was Shinerbach.
Okay, but you understand what
Starburst?
berries and cream. That you've never heard this? Am I the only one?
No, I mean I know what it is.
Okay.
I thought you were making fun of me.
No, I wasn't making fun of you. I was saying that, you are a little lad that likes berries and cream, but let's try this.
Let's try the beer.
So yes, thank you, Shinerbach.
Yeah, thank you, Shinerbach.
Ooh, that is like fluorescent orange.
Anyway, I do love Shinerbach. Well, I love Shiner Brewing Company. They make a lot of cool products.
You also love the government.
No, well, it's complicated. Let's put it that way.
Our,
roads.
our last limited edition brew is a rich cream ale, bursting with juicy berry flavor. It's so smooth, refreshing, fruity, and fun. Our brewers couldn't stop dancing as they made it. Just one taste of Shiner berries and cream, and you'll be dancing too.
So I do have some tasting notes on it. Just from the aroma, I get a really interesting thing. It's like berries and cream. It's literally berries and cream.
I would have hoped that they went the full like hype boy realm in this and just literally put Starburst in the fermenter or something like that. Goddamn, that would be so sticky to like clean out. Oh, my fermenter's all messed up. I've got to clean out all these Starbursts.
Except it is
Bunch of sediment.
quite nasty. Maybe that is Starburst.
This is a hazy.
Maybe those are stars.
These are stars.
That
little
is
stars.
Starburst.
It's bursting actually.
Thank you, Shiner.
Oh, I have some tasting notes too.
Yeah, I don't know.
It does smell like berries.
It does smell like
and
berries.
cream.
Wow. Yeah, I don't love this very much.
Guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Kentucky Commons Radio Hour.
But to that point, before we end, do we have any thing to plug?
I think I've plugged everything I had to plug.
That's exciting. What about Brewgrass Homebrew Supply?
Yeah, if you want to make beer and you're not quite able to make beer, if the government outlaws it, be shipped to your state, make it yourself.
All right.
Brewgrass Homebrew Supply.
David?
Established 2015.
I want to shout out to Cameron Russ, who thinks that this episode comes out every Thursday.
It's wrong.
It's wrong.
We record on Thursdays, although it's a Wednesday right now, so that's not even true.
Yeah. So catch us every Monday. That's when the episodes come out. Thanks.
I want to personally purchase and give away a tin tacker to one lucky listener that decides to post a summation of John's spiel on government regulations.
Was that long? Was that long and convoluted?
It wasn't, but it would be funny to see somebody's summation of it in a social media post, and you please tag us in that, and I'll get you a tin tacker sign. Those things are awesome looking, so maybe a shirt too.
Well, this is also our promise toward the listeners, as these things do start to get codified into laws, assuming the government is actually capable of doing such things. We'll keep you posted. Like we'll follow this stuff, and like we gave some praise to the BA earlier with their new board members, but the BA was instrumental in kind of not shaping, but guiding the direction in which a lot of these researchers, looked into making these recommendations or these whatever. So
Yeah, they're fine.
glad that the BA's out.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next week.